Good afternoon, everyone. Hopefully, everyone's having a great day here on January 5th, aka Vibe Code Reckoning Day, where the entirety of the world figures out that vibe coding is pretty fucking cool. Um, I got some interesting stuff to talk about regarding vibe token that'll be more of a monologue, but I still go through some of the stuff too that I think will be interesting for you guys. If you don't know and you need a refresher, we've been vibe coding on stream twice a week since I think it was probably June or July-ish timeframe. I personally have dedicated my time to try to teach people two things. One, how to build things on Ethos. Like, oh, we have Ethos as a product. I believe Ethos only gets better whenever it's integrated in everywhere. And there are things within Ethos that I wanted to see get built and wanted to build myself. But two, teach people the power of vibe coding. And so back then we were using totally different models. It was not nearly as good. But over the past few months, you've got something like Opus 4.5 come out, and it's really changed the game in terms of what people can do with vibe coding. We've done everything from building little tools and apps to building signals, the full app that allows you to save things from tweets on chain. And there's all kinds of really cool stuff that we've been able to build with vibe coding. And hopefully you've been along for the journey with me in doing so. But um, there's a lot of really interesting takes that I'm seeing on the timeline right now. And I kind of wanted to talk through some of those because I think they're fascinating. Um, what it seems like is over the past couple of weeks, we've had this explosion of people with extra free time, or with regards to people not being able to trade coins because it's just been slow in the market. People realizing that vibe coding is really powerful. I think the hurdle that a lot of people crossed was this idea that, oh shit, I don't have to actually write code. I can just like talk to the AI and it will help me complete things. And I think this combination has been really powerful in helping people unlock it. And then you get CT and Twitter, and I think the algorithm's starting to like really regurgitate similar information to people, and so you get really sucked in. And I love it. I think it's great. Now, I've been building products in Web 2 for 12, 13 years now, and I have seen pretty much everything in terms of working at a YC back startup to working at a 300,000 person company to working at a 10,000 person company that was growing crazy twice a year, three times a year kind of thing. Um, and there's a lot that we can learn and start to look forward to when it comes to vibe coding. And I wanted to share some of those thoughts because I think they're actually really powerful anecdotes that from my own personal experience that I think will become reality. And I'm really just kind of going off the cuff here and trying to talk and think through it. But um, so the first thing that comes to mind is there are a lot of people right now that are benefiting greatly from being able to take something that is an idea and turn it into code, turning it into a product. Now, the barrier of entry to doing this was incredibly difficult for a very long time. When I was in high school, in 2008, 2009, um, 2008, I was learning Java and I took a computer science class in high school, and it was like the most complicated thing. And in order to get anything to work correctly, it was just incredibly difficult to do. It required your ability to write code, to understand how the code worked. It was impossible basically. And Angular J no, this is before Angular JS. This was, what do we call it? It was something that they taught a lot of kids in high school, and I forget what it was. It was like a game, and you, like, coded different things in the game, and I have no idea. Anyways, I ended up being really passionate about computer science because it really resonated with me. I mean, I was, like, taking web design class before that, and we were learning Dreamweaver and fucking Photoshop and stuff like that, and like, I remember, like, hosting Dreamweaver sites through Dreamweaver and shit. I mean, this is a weird time in the world. Now, what's interesting is that required just a crazy barrier of entry. It's really, really difficult to build a website. Like, building a website in 2008 was, you know, You had Dreamweaver to make it easy, and it still took you 3 weeks to build anything meaningful. Um, I did an internship where I was working on building web apps. So that was my first real web app exposure during college, where we built content management systems for fucking churches and shit. And, that was really insightful. We're using Laravel and PHP and a bunch of, like, really old school stuff now, that's 20 years old. And it was incredibly difficult. It was difficult to build any of those things, but so I went to college and I studied computer science and, took all of the classes. I wasn't, like, amazing at it. I failed algorithms. I had to retake algorithms class where we were literally on our test, it would be like, "Show the big O complexity of this algorithm and prove it, and then write the code on the back in pencil." Like just stupid shit, right? But the thing that always resonated with me is once I got out of college or during college at my internship, I learned how to write my own web apps. I figured out how to get to a point where I could actually build something compelling. And my first ever web app was a blog. I just built a content management system. It was Laravel and PHP, and it was pretty cool. It gave me a way to write blog posts, and I wrote blog posts about everything from like the new oh my god, what was it? It was like there's a new Kid Cudi album to how to silence hardware on a network attached storage device, Synology network attached storage device. I wrote one that was really good for iPods and how to turn a classic iPod into a solid state and made a bunch of money on Amazon affiliates. Anyways, that was really powerful. That whole concept of like, I wrote my own content management system. I was actually making money through content that I wrote. And this would have been 2010, 2011. And it was just mind blowing. And I think back to that point in time and I'm like, it took me like, literally took me like 5 years to get to a point where I could do something like that. Like 5 years to get to a point where I could do something like that. And you can one shot that in Claude Code right now. Literally one shot it in Claude Code right now. And it's fucking mind blowing. That barrier of entry going to zero, like I can't even think of a good enough comparison. It's like you don't know how to retile your shower. And instead of like watching YouTube videos and getting the experience of doing it and working with a guy that teaches you how to tile it and how to do the grout and mix the concrete and all that shit, you just go tile the bathroom and it tiles it. And you're like, what the fuck? Like, this is a crazy shift in how our global economy will work in terms of developing software. But the most important thing is you have reduced the friction to zero, basically zero. And it doesn't mean you can write excellent software. It doesn't mean you can one shot or even get close to one shotting Ethos, right? Think about the gap between what people are vibe coding today and Ethos. It's massive. Ethos is a tool that's been in the works for 2 years, 5 engineers working on it every day. Like that's 20,000 hours of work, basically. And we are using AI and Claude very significantly. And in fact, making ourselves look like a much bigger team than we actually are. But for the little things, the example that I have of like writing a blog, um, it's incredible. And even early in my career, one of the things that I pride myself on is I found ways in companies to build things like these one-off solutions for people. And I used Laravel inside the big company I was working for and helped people with writing forecasting models and R and all this stuff. And like that toolkit of being able to create anything that you can dream in a whim is incredibly powerful. And the barrier of entry has gone to zero. And the people that are hyping this up on the timeline right now are not wrong. They're just realizing it today. And I think 2026 is going to be just a huge shift in kind of something that I actually think we've seen over the last 5 years, which is an increase in desire to have entrepreneurial like side hustles on your own. And if I keep seeing people tweeting like, "Oh, I made $2,000 yesterday building this thing," and it's pretty fucking cool, right? You can get in the App Store, you can get some distribution via the App Store, you can launch a product, charge for it, get paid with Stripe. Like these things 20 years ago were fucking hard, man. It's the same thing as like You look at Ethos, and I never talk about this because no one actually cares, but like Ethos has payroll. I'm responsible for paying people at the company. I'm responsible for accounting, and I outsource a lot of those things. So I'm responsible for dental packages and medical packages and shit like that. No one wants to talk about that stuff. Well, because of the last 20 years of software technology, it has become so easy to just click a button and I have health insurance for everyone. 30 years ago, 40 years ago, you had to go call someone up, you get paperwork done, you go meet with them physically. The efficiency gain was massive, and it enabled startups to really go from, like, struggling to exist by focusing on the wrong things like back office and taxes and shit, and being able to exclusively focus on things that made their product better. Well, Claude Code or AI LLM-based coding or whatever you wanna call it, has enabled that for us. That has enabled that next step for us, and I think it's magic. It's absolutely magic. I'm gonna catch up on some of the chat because I missed some of it, but good to see people, joining and chatting. I tried web design 1 to 0 talent. Yeah, web design is, web design back then was fucking crazy. Like, even the stuff we were doing in Laravel, like, injecting JavaScript into PHP and it's just a nightmare. There's some love for Laravel. I think it's I don't think it's Laravel. I think it's Laravel, but maybe I'm wrong. But that guy's awesome though. I like the guy that made it. Yeah, Philip's talking about stuff. Headphone says AI changed my life. Yeah, I think that's the other thing is like you can do a lot with Claude Code. I've seen a lot of people talking about using Claude Code, the $20 subscription. I know there are people that are in different places in the world right now that might be thinking about $20 and that's like, "Oh, that's a month's pay," or which is crazy, but maybe that's a week's pay in your country or something like that. I think you can make your money go $20 worth pretty easily. So my first kind of, like, synopsis of what I'm trying to say here is, like, there is a shift, and the people that are hyping it up, which I usually cringe about on X, they're right. Like, if you've watched my vibe coding, if you've come to this stream, if you're listening right now, which I've said this multiple times, you should be trying vibe coding. There's no reason not to. It will get interesting though. And there's a lot of stuff that I want to talk about that comes beyond vibe coding that I think a lot of people will be kind of surprised by. Um, but it has made the concept of like, I don't know if people remember this, like 15 years ago, people would be like, "Oh, there's an app for that." Like the iOS enabled a crazy marketplace to exist and is the reason for success for Apple is the iOS App Store. It enabled people to build apps and charge for them, which created an economy on top of their core product set. If you as a business can create an economy of economies, you create an economy on top of your economy, enabling other people to build on top of it, you win. You just win. App Store does billions of dollars in revenue every year. Epic and Fortnite can say fuck off, but they still make tons of money. The ease of doing that, like the first apps were shit like the beer. Like you took your iPhone out and you poured a beer on it, and they like I mean I can't remember. I think that was the app that had like the $100 thing. You could pay $100 for it, and then everyone was like, "Yeah, I got the $100 like beer sipper thing." And, like I made a bunch of money on it. We are at that intersection right now. We are at an intersection where yes, CT knows about vibe coding. There are ways that it can enhance your life. There are ways that it can enhance your ability to make money. There are ways that it can turn you into an entrepreneur. There are ways that you can turn it into being a side hustle. But all of these things are very important to understand now because I have witnessed it. I'm 30, fucking 34, okay? I've seen these shifts happen multiple times in tech, and the shifts are often slow and hard to see. And I'd like to think I was early to this one. I'd like to think Ethos has been early to coding with AI, but particularly vibe coding. And you have to trust me when like you don't get a lot of shots like this. You don't get a lot of shots where you can say, I can build an edge over anyone else because I know how to vibe code. Because you will look up in 5 years and everyone will be vibe coding. You will look up in 5 years and there's going to be so many apps. It's like this to me right now is early YouTube. You're in YouTube 2005. You can be PewDiePie if you want to. I don't want to be PewDiePie. I'm just here to help motivate other people and build the ethos as a business. Frank D. Gods is going to be that if he wants to. It seems like he kind of wants to. Someone is going to be the influencer that helps people. Someone is going to build real businesses. There are going to be people that build businesses, and this has already happened, that get acquired by major companies for 5, 10, 50, $100 million. And there is no better time than right now. And I wish, like, I hope that it motivates someone, because I wish that in 2005, when I was in high school, I wish that someone told me to go build something on YouTube. I wish that in the early days of Instagram, someone told me to go post funny content. I wish that someone told me that I should go focus and go really hard on building an iOS app in 2010 when the App Store came out, 2009 when the App Store came out. Like, I wish someone motivated me to do that, because you only get so many of those opportunities. And I'm telling you right now, I think there have been maybe 3 of them in the last 20 years. And this is one. So go build something, man. Just go fucking build something. Like, you can watch my streams and hopefully it helps you. You can focus on your job. You can focus on your education, but you need to use this motivation of this unique time in the market to go build something. And I've talked about it. Some of the ways you can do it: build something on Polymarket. I saw the guys talking about the Venezuelan president getting leaked on Polymarket, and some guys had written a script that caught it early. It's easy to build on top of other people's stuff when you're vibe coding. Go build it. Just go fucking build it, man. I'm just, it's so hard. I guess maybe I'm selling it well, but like, there's such a big opportunity and I don't want anyone to miss it. So anyways, that's my soapbox about, like, I know when to recognize there are massive shifts and trends. They only happen once every 7 or 8 years in tech, and you have the opportunity to own it now. I don't care how old you are. I don't care what your job is. You can put the hours in. You don't need to sleep for 8 hours a day. I'm not a doctor. You can sleep for 6 or 5 hours a day and get shit done. Just fucking try it, man. Okay, so the other thing that I wanted to talk about is, what does life look like after we have all these vibe coded apps? Because there's this concept um that I think that we're going to see, which is, it's going to be a heavy amount of dilution in terms of vibe coded apps. When you commoditize something, which we've basically commoditized simple coding or coding simple apps, it means that there's going to be an influx of supply and everyone can do it, and no one is going to want to. Eventually it becomes an optimized market, which is why it's important to try to approach it now and build something now. But I think that what you will see is there will be so many apps out there that you won't know how to pay attention to them. And I actually think we're kind of getting to that point now. The thing that you have to remember when you're vibe coding something is that you reduce the barrier of entry to prototype your idea to 0, but you did not build a business. And a lot of people, I saw some really good nuanced take on Twitter, and I should have probably like had them loaded up so you guys had something to look at besides me looking at Ethos. Um, the things you should consider looking at. Well, now I forgot where I was going with my point, because I started thinking about Ethos and what I was going to say about it. Um, No, I'm completely lost my train of thought. So, oh yeah, the next steps for vibe coding and what you should expect to see. Um, Distribution is really hard to achieve. Code isn't actually a moat for business. And people don't realize this, but it's a lot easier if you have the nuanced perspective of someone building a startup, or someone that, worked at a YC company that watched 1,000 other YC startups around us. And I remember being friends with some of them, and you're like, for every, 1,000 of them, 999 died. Well, you can kind of see that in crypto too, right? Like, there are a lot of apps that LARP out there. There are a lot of apps that exist out there that um maybe they don't even do anything technically, but they have a means to drive attention to themselves. And they are actually going to be more successful more times than not than compared to, let's say, an app that like is fully functional and beneficial, but just has zero way of unlocking distribution. And some of the nuanced takes that I saw that were really powerful were, hey, like the code itself isn't the moat. It's the users, it's the data, and it's really retention, right? And so when you think about like some of the things that I think really work really well for vibe coding that we've seen a lot of, I saw one for the Infinix cell earlier, and we've seen dashboards. You think about like Ultra has always been really good at building these dashboards. Um, those are the best things for vibe coding because they're really simple. They call them jigs instead of tools. You have like jigs, tools, products. If you This is deep cut, but if you're into woodworking or if you're into like any um manual working of tools with your hands, you know what a jig is. A jig is something that helps you do like one job specifically. A tool can do many jobs, and then like it's like a whole product beyond that. So jigs have been really well. What we are seeing people do more of is go from jigs to products and actually say, oh, well, I have a product and I can charge for it. It's in the app store. Anyone can go buy it. And this is where it's going to get really challenging, I think, because as we see more of a distribution of people shipping pretty much anything that they can, it's going to be really difficult to know where to put your attention on, where to focus on as a consumer. You're gonna have 15 buddies that are DMing you saying, hey, I have the best sniper tool out there, I have the best whatever out there, blah 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 blah. I promise you that um the easy part is now coding. The hardest part is going to be how do you go find people to use your product? And so some of my tips in thinking about that beyond I literally just ask Claude, but the things that I'm thinking about are it's like best principles when it comes to building products. How do you minimize the friction for signing up a user? How do you measure the right metrics to ensure that you're optimizing for the right metrics? How do you think about retention and retention? How do you maintain retention? When it comes to jigs and little things, you don't have to think about those things very much because they serve like a purpose temporarily or ephemerally almost. But on the other hand, when you think about building real products and how to elevate beyond that, you have to think about your core user journey and how do you get people working through it and get through the product. There was another tweet that I saw that was really good. That was basically like, yeah, it's great that we've solved the problem of engineers deciding how to code the thing, but what we don't solve, and this happens often in big companies, is how do you solve the 200 other hours that decided what to get built? So vibe coding is working really well for people that are individuals that are writing the code and just being it fully autonomous with it. But when it comes to like going back to full on product teams that are building things, there's a lot that goes into thinking about what to build and why to build it. So I think that what I suspect will happen is that people will start to hit a wall really quickly. Oh, I tried to, like it's what happens with every builder in crypto too. I tried to build this thing and I didn't know how to unlock distribution. I didn't know how to get people to actually use it. I built something. Why don't they care? Or I built something and then they try it once and they never come back. And so what I suspect to see is what we see most of the time when it comes to people that are building products for the first time. You think that you built something that's important because you built it for yourself. You get it out there and people maybe they really click with it and you get lucky. But sometimes they might not click with it and you got to find ways to go talk to those people, go understand why it didn't work for them and go iterate on it. And so one of the like famous quotes in startups and famous quotes in like YC land is like, ideas are free, execution is really where the magic happens. And so you should never feel cagey about sharing ideas. Well, ideas just got even more free. Like demos are free now. You can build a demo for nothing. Um, Now we're going to see a little bit of a lot of people throwing shit at the wall and seeing what sticks. And so it would be interesting to see how that evolves because I think that next level of going from like a jig to a product is really, really challenging to solve if you don't fully understand how to build products. If you don't obviously on the engineering side, if you can't think about architecture or if you can't think about scalability or anything like that, like yeah, I'm sure the agent can help you, but it gets more limited in that. Um, Same thing on the product side. How do you think about discovery? How do you think about users getting through the flow? How do you think about awareness versus acquisition versus activation? And like you might be like, oh, it's fucking corporate jumbo bullshit. But these are core parts of a product. And the reason I was talking about 1 in 1,000 before is like the yes, everyone can code now. That doesn't make everyone a product builder now. And being a product builder a lot of times getting lucky, but a lot of other times is having a fundamental understanding of how products work and how to get people to try products and how to get people into products. And so I do think that we'll see an explosion of people building custom niche things for themselves. I think you'll see an explosion of people throwing shit at the wall. I don't know how much will actually convert into full on products because a lot of these people that wanted to build products, they already have the means to do so. They go through YC, you see stuff like Cluely exists, they drive attention to themselves and they build something. We'll probably get something similar and lower that barrier of entry even further. You're going to see a lot more demos, a lot more um, easy to build stuff. But I don't think that it's going to massively change big, large scale products yet. So hopefully, the takeaway that I was kind of driving home with this on my soapbox here is it's very powerful vibe coding. There's a lot of benefits. It's not overhyped. It's actually accurate. But when it gets hard, if you're going to keep building, you got to put your head down and keep building. You can, it's going to be very easy with vibe coding to just say, ah, fuck this. I'm going to throw it away. I'm going to spin up something new. Like what is going to separate people who want to go from an individual who wants to build something on the side to a full-on entrepreneur, I have a side business, is that commitment to the vision of what they have, reiterating and trying to build it out more. And that's going to separate a signal from noise for sure. So, anyways, I kind of wanted to share these high-level thoughts. I've given loads of info about my setup. I do think that Claude Code right now is the most financially responsible setup. I saw a headphone said 20 bucks in Brazil is nothing compared to inflation. Yeah, there you go. Um, I would definitely recommend Claude Code at this point, although I do think it's a little bit more difficult to interact with. The model of 4.5 is much better. Why are there so few people in the chat? I don't know, man. I'm not. Sometimes if I don't engage with chat enough, people don't chat back. Um, I'm usually the person typing in the chats. Um, what else? Uh, I still like Cursor for what it's worth. I think Cursor is really good. We have something that we've been working on that I'm excited for in a couple weeks. If you're into vibe coding, definitely stay tuned to what we've talked about. I'm gonna go publish just a list of all the like vibe coding sessions I've done because I think it's still informative. I've been doing this for 6 months. I do have the perspective of someone that's actually knows how the engineering stuff works, not to like the greatest degree. Or I'm basically like borderline fresh out of college dev. I don't think I could even get a job as a junior dev at a real company. But I do have more of a knowledge than someone that knows nothing. So I can usually talk people through some things. Um, it does. It's also the market in general, and well, it's not the hottest topic. It definitely is the hottest topic. The algorithm right now is definitely sucking me into vibe coding everything. So I just think people had an extra bit of time to work on stuff. I mean, shit, I was vibe coding a tax replacement on Friday for us. Um, I just think people realize there's so much you can do with it, and they finally gave it a shot. I think the Claude $20 a month is also really compelling for most people in comparison. Um, the other thing that, like, I would say one of our more nuanced perspectives is, or that I have with vibe coding, is once you really figure it out how to do it asynchronously, I will sit there and chat in Discord, chat in Slack, and get things moving with the business or whatever. And I'll have stuff that I'm just vibe coding on the side. So I could do it while I'm working if your brain works that way. And I think it works pretty well. Are your AI agents and ethos written in cursor? Yeah, absolutely. We definitely wrote those in cursor. I mean, dude, I think we have like, let me see if I have let me go pull up the file, go to folder dev. Yeah. So we have built all of these. Yeah, so I started in June. June 27th is the first vibe coded app. We did vibe coding Farcaster mini app, spider graphs, invite graphs. We did the Zora sniper. We've done so many things. I mean, it's crazy. I guess the last one I did was December 10th was the app that people got kind of heated about. Um, yeah, man, we've done so many of them. And I mean, it was consistent. It's like twice a week, basically. We went back and revisited some of them and made them better. I mean, just so many things that we've made. I can publish the Git repos for some of them, but no one needs to look at code anymore. Do you remember the last time you mentioned that you'll surely vouch for me? Sure. Well, the problem, Susan, is that I don't know you. So how would I don't know that I would ever say that I would publicly vouch for you. I might write a review for you. Maybe we can do a broker transaction. I can build some trust for you. Um, yeah, anyways, like, I think the reason I wanted to share these thoughts is because I feel like there's actually enough content out there about vibe coding to go around, but not a lot of people are going and sharing the, like, beyond the, like, "Oh, you vibe coded your first app. What comes next?" I think that's probably the harder part, but I do think that if you're listening to me right now, and I've done this on sessions before, like, you should absolutely be thinking about vibe coding, and you could do anything from, like, I would start with a personal problem you have. Like, I have this problem in my life. I don't like the Notes app, and I'm making this up. I don't like the Notes app in iOS, and I wanna make my own Notes app, and I want it to be LLM powered, and I want it to tell me how I'm feeling every day or something. I don't know. I want to write an app that, cancels flights for me when it realizes that I'm not gonna get there in time, or I wanna write an app that, manages my Google Calendar for me as an assistant. It's like, there's so many things that you can do. Don't question if you can do it with vibe coding or not. Now, again, you have to think about them as apps. They're not like full products. You can't build Ethos in one shot. It's just too hard, right? But these little tiny things you can absolutely build. So that's what I would be thinking about. And again, just talk to AI as you would normally. I think that's the biggest thing. You have a tremendous amount of ability to direct and instruct AI to do exactly what you want to do. On Wednesday, we'll probably do a real vibe coding session. I just felt like it was overblown today, and I didn't want to fuck everyone over with like just forcing a content down your mouth. I wanted to give something different. Um, I have no vested interest in pushing this. I have zero interest in becoming a vibe coding influencer. All I want to do is help people like I want to motivate people, but two, I want to help people see the light on it, realize that the time is now to do it. And then I'm trying to direct some of that power towards Ethos, right? Like people have built all kinds of stuff with Ethos and vibe coding. And um, maybe in a couple weeks, we'll see some more of that. Anyways, thanks for letting me monologue for 35 minutes here. I'm gonna cut it short just because that's what I came up with today. But we'll get back to vibe coding on Wednesday and actually build something which I know is always interesting for people. So thanks for showing up today, and we will see you guys maybe tomorrow morning for stream. I guess we'll see. Thanks again.